Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I'm Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are breaking down the Los Angeles Rams 2024 NFL Draft. It was a lot of fun watching the draft this weekend, and we thought the Rams did a phenomenal job with their selections. We're going to break down all their picks, but before we do that, if you haven't already, go ahead, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and also tackle that bell to get notified when new Rams videos come out on the Tracy Take. We're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the start of the NFL Draft, so any and all help right now is greatly appreciated. So like, subscribe if you haven't already. Ryan, let's pull up the slides here. Jared Verse, first pick off the board. Really like this pick. Defensive players fell in this draft. First 14 picks were all offensive players here. After Latu came off the board, then Dallas Turner. So Jared Verse was the third edge rusher. And you know what? That had been the consensus top three edge rushers come off the board. It would have been a crime if Chop Robinson or another edge rusher went in front of them. But in all order, that's kind of what we were saying. And I think getting Jared Verse here, Byron Murphy was also off the board as well. So that option to potentially replace Aaron Donald was not there. I think you get Jared Verse here, and I really like this pick. I think he has a high ceiling. Been seeing him play for a long time. He's got a lot of good film.
No, yeah, I 100% agree. Very powerful edge rusher. I think going to be very impactful in this division and beyond. And so has some pass rush moves. I think needs some development in that aspect. But I mean, I think of all of the top three edge rushers, even you can throw Chop Robinson in there. Jared Verse is like the most menacing of all of them. He's just so big and fast, and also has the most power by a large margin. And so like he can back up the look there. So I really like this fit. Aaron Donald, after he retired, said that he actually felt the Rams were pretty good at defensive tackle, and that if they wanted to address a defensive line, that they should go with an edge rusher. And so I guess Aaron Donald is going to be the GM here for the Rams pretty soon. One interesting fact about this pick, I don't know if it's true, but I read on Twitter that this was the first round pick of with Sean McVay as the head coach, because I believe when he came in, it was Jared Goff. Like they traded like a bunch of future firsts for Jared Goff.
And then they traded a bunch for Matt Stafford.
And then they traded a bunch for Matt Stafford and like I believe Von Miller was like a first as well. So like just an interesting little tidbit there about this pick.
Yeah. I found that fascinating. I think it was like 2016 was their last first round pick, which is kind of crazy to think about. Yeah. And then there's a Super Bowl in there along the way. So let's move on now to their next pick. They ended up trading up here. Ended up taking Braden Fisk here, sticking with the defensive line, sticking with the Seminoles. And I think this is a guy I really like as well. If there was anybody who would be an Aaron Donald replacement, I think he would kind of go and fit that mold as well. I also like too as well that they went and like him and Jared Verse are very familiar with playing with one another. So I think they're kind of just used to those little intricacies because they've been playing so long together. But I think addressing the defensive line, really trying to bolster that up, because you go look at that division that they're in with the 49ers, and then Cardinals are definitely getting better. Seahawks, I think, are also beefing up their offensive line as well. You're going to have to be able to get after these quarterbacks, get after these running backs. And pairing Jared Verse and Braden Fisk up here, I really like that 1-2 pairing.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good pairing. Even at the combine, you saw how athletic he was. I mean, he was moving faster than Byron Murphy was around on the field there. So I think this is a really fantastic selection. You did have to give up a little bit to move up for him. But this was a guy that I made an appearance in one of my first round mock drafts. I felt like he had the talent to be selected in this range. The only really big knock is that he's, I believe, only 290, and he has shorter arms than I think the ideal size. So all in all, I think that's just a really good selection there as well. Let's move on to the third pick here, and this is going to be Blake Corum, the running back out of Michigan. Really solid all-around back. I like this pick. I feel like it's a little redundant with Kyren Williams, but I think if you have two of these backs now, that's kind of like the running back by committee approach, I think is what they're going with here.
Well, go ahead.
I would say, and also when Kyren Williams went out last year for the 6 games, they had no answer for anybody else. So
yeah, I think if it is some redundancy, I think they're going to be okay with that, just because if one of them does get banged up, like, okay, fine, we still got a clone here essentially. I think Kyren Williams is maybe a little bit more explosive, while Blake Corum is going to be a little bit more power. I would say so. I think that they complement each other a little bit more than you might think. But in general, though, I think Blake Corum has had a great career at Michigan. We've been seeing him play for a long time. I think he's going to be very successful in this program here. And I think it's going to be a good 1-2 combo. We're seeing Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, seeing Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. A lot of teams are taking this approach, though, of just trying to get just good young running backs in there so we can keep them in there as fresh as possible for and stay healthy. Don't want to try and grind them down too much. But I like this pick a lot here. Get a good skill position player. Really like this pick also. Cameron Kitchen's fallen all the way down to them at 99 at their compensatory pick. So we had him graded up, I think, in like the 40s or 50s.
I think around maybe a little lower, but this is a guy, he didn't test super well at the combine, but you look instinctually, his football IQ and instincts are so high that it doesn't really matter that he ran like a 4.55 or something like that at the combine. So
and so he's a guy I think throughout all the mock drafts of the offseason, like he was up there pretty high. So getting him here at 99, I think is a great deal. Also, too, for a team that really needs to address the secondary so far, they weren't able to do it in their first 3 picks, or they weren't able to. They didn't do it in their first 3 picks. To get him here as well, I think is a great developmental piece. And so they didn't have a 4th round pick, but honestly, with the compensatory pick, they kind of did here. But so the next pick was at 154. Brennan Jackson out of Washington State, edge rusher. Tyler Davis, defensive tackle. Really focusing then on the defensive line, keep rebuilding that there as well. Then Josh Carty, kicker. And don't really know too much anything about him, but hope he doesn't miss any field goals. So then Jordan Whittington, the other receiver at Texas. I think this is a very unique one as well, because I think he's going to be a good complement to what they have already with Cooper Kupp, and then also Puka Nacua as well. He was already a compliment for Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, and Jatavian Sanders, so I think he's kind of used to that role. And then wrap it up then with Bo Limmer and then KT Livingston, really focusing on the interior of the offensive line. Bo Limmer was a guy we had, around 100, 120? So I think
closer to 120.
Closer to 120.
Yeah, and then KT Leviston was kind of a late riser. He's the left tackle from Kansas State that is most likely going to kick into guard, but he has a really good athletic profile. So all in all, a bunch of good players here, I think, for the Los Angeles Rams. We do grade these drafts. So, Tyler, you gave them an A. I gave them a B. I kind of have done this with maybe the last couple, but maybe I was a little too harsh on them, and maybe I would go with like a B+, be like a slightly above average grade there, because I do, looking back on it, really like some of the players they got in this draft.
That's what the combination Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Blake Corum, Cameron Kitchens. I think just 4 great players in general, but also too, I really like really addressing that defensive line, keep trying to get as much talent there as possible as well. And then even then too on their immediate day, not immediate, but then their day 3 picks, get guys like Tyler Davis that falls a lot, and then even Bo Limmer addressing that interior. I would have loved to if they got a good secondary guy. Cameron
Kitchens is that safety. That is why I gave them a B, was because I felt they should have really gone after a corner in this draft.
They did make a lot of moves in the offseason of addressing the secondary spot. Again, guys like Tre'Davious White as well. But still, he's coming off, I think, a couple injuries now. But just get that young corner to keep developing. But they've got a lot of young corners that they've drafted over the past couple of years. So maybe still just get some in development. I still really just like a lot of the players that they got were just big name players, and they were able to get them all throughout the draft. And so that's why, to me, I think they're one of the best drafts.
Yeah, no, I think this was a good draft. I don't want to say it was one of the best, because I felt like they got players where they should have been drafted. It's not like they got any great deals, and so I like this. I like this draft. I don't necessarily love it, and I think they got some good players there. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of the Los Angeles Rams draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you do differently? And then that will see you guys next time.